Today's video is going to be me installing my Kuna Maximus floodlight. That's the front of the slider, or the front of the box. That's the back of the box. I purchased this particular camera floodlight combination from Costco.com. I actually purchased one from Kuna, and I have purchased one from Home Depot, and they're available at any one of those three places. I really like the cameras. I like the lights. The lights themselves are relatively high quality compared to any other light of that type that you would buy. The software is straightforward. I'm a neophyte when it comes to setting up anything, really. I could barely set up a PlayStation. The lights themselves are hardwired into your home. They're designed specifically to replace existing lighting fixtures. So you take the old light fixture out, you put the new light fixture in. They require power all the time, so if it's a switched outlet, which most of them are, I just put a switch plate cover over top of my the switch for the light on the one, and the other one I actually hardwired into the house wiring because I had to actually make a spot for that. That is kind of part of what this video is about, because the Maximus camera floodlight, and you'll see in the video, I'll explain it a little bit more, didn't perfectly fit my application. So I had to make a mounting plate. So the video is actually about making the mounting plate and me touting, the beginning is me touting how great I like the Kunas and how they really fit my application well. So that's it. What I'd like to do is I'd like to mount this on my garage, facing out from the garage, to just provide illumination in the driveway, because the original motion light that was there is broken. And I don't know, I'm getting paranoid, I guess. So the problem with this, and I don't fault, well, I will fault Kuna a little bit, but the problem with this is the way this mounts. This is designed to work on a regular wall-mounted box that's up against your house. So basically the way it would work is this would be mounted in the wall, and then the wall would be flush with the box, or actually set in a little bit. I'm using this as a surface-mounted box, which I already have one. I already have an existing one. I think I'm just gonna replace the light. It depends on what the angle of view is for the camera. The cameras actually have a pretty wide angle of view, so I may just be able to mount this where I want it and be done with it, or where it was and be done with it. I don't particularly like where it's mounted. I'll show where it's mounted a little bit later. So the problem is this doesn't fit this. This is 5 inches. I'm sorry, 4 1/4. This is 4 1/4 inches. This mounting plate is 5 1/2. So if I was mounting it flush up against the wall, it wouldn't be an issue, because this seal would contact the wall, and that's what it's for. But it doesn't work for me. So what I had to do was I looked around at the big box stores and a couple of my local hardware stores, trying to find a larger mounting plate, and of course I didn't, because that would be just too easy. So what I've done is I happen to have this piece of aluminum floating around. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick, maybe 3/32. Doesn't matter. It's a nice thick heavy piece of aluminum. So what I did was I mounted it to the board. I have a large hole saw. I'm just gonna, so I screwed it to this board here, and I used my drill press in this big ass hole saw to make the circle. I mounted it on there. The problem is this hole saw is not made to drill aluminum, and my chintzy little drill press just doesn't want to cut it. So what I ended up doing was scribing a line, a nice circular line, in here, and I'm about 3/4 of the way through this aluminum. So I'm going to go do the rest of the mounting stuff, and I'll show how that's going to work. So the way this is going to work is the Kuna comes with this mounting bracket, which is supposed to go inside of the box here, and it works. It fits. It's not the Kuna. It's my application because I don't ever do anything that's just simple. So this mounts in here, or it mounts here. Either way, you can mount it either way, depending on how the box is oriented. And this actually turns. You can move it a little bit. So I drilled the holes in here to mount this to this, and now I'm going to drill a hole to allow the wiring to go in. I'm actually going to probably use a bigger hole saw, and I'm going to hole saw this out big enough that I have, whatever the biggest hole saw I have that'll drill through this. Like I said, I mounted it to the board because this turns into a spinning guillotine on the drill press, and then this will fit. Take this off here, and then this will fit here. And what it'll do is it'll provide a nice flush fit. It'll hang over a little, and that's fine. I'm actually okay with that. I'd rather this be a little bit wider, and then I can mount this tight. So this will be waterproof. I have a gasket for the old one that I'm going to put on here, or I'll just make another gasket out of. I've got some foam laying around here, or I have the gasket that comes with this, and I also bought another faceplate, so it'll be a gasket, and then this will all be gasketed, and it'll be relatively water resistant. Where I'm putting it isn't a high moisture area. It shouldn't get wet all the time. I mean, obviously it's going to get a little wet in the rain, but it's protected under the gutter. Hopefully, once I do that, I'm going to mount, because this mounts to this. Kind of interesting the way this goes together. It's designed, I pulled these wires through. The wires actually go like that. So this mounts to this, which clicks into this. Like I said, it's pretty interesting the way this goes together. I've never gotten into one of these, but then that goes like that and it mounts on the building. The only problem I have with the Kunas is occasionally they'll lose internet connection, so you have to restart them. But they will record, if you're not connected to the internet, if you're not connected to the camera, it records to the cloud. So it'll record to the cloud if it's tripped, and then you have to go back in and restart it that way. But it will do that. So you don't always get alerts, which is a little problematic. And these are still, they were crowdfunded, and I'm not sure whether or not they have, well, I am sure that they've established a full-fledged company. And it's like $100 a year, I think, or less, for like up to 6 cameras. So that's nice. I've been actually out of the country and gotten alerts that my doorbell went off. It's also nice to spy on the house sitter, so you know whether or not they're coming when they say they do. The other problem is occasionally bugs and stuff will get in front of the camera lens. You gotta have to keep up after the camera lens. They do get dirty because they're outside. So I'm gonna set up the drill press to drill the new holes, or the bigger holes, and I'll go from there. I apologize for the noise. This is really loud. I actually should probably put ear protection in. Hole saws are problematic for a lot of reasons. I don't particularly like using them, but it's doing what I need to. I don't feel like buying another tool right now. Yeah, we're getting there. It's a slow, tedious process with this hole saw. I'm just lubing it up with a little bit of WD-40. It's my least offensive lubricant. The board's actually really crooked because I'm just kind of have it rigged up here. I just moved my vise out of the way, so I got these silly little boards locked up. It's working, but it's not one of my greatest. I'm a little concerned that when I finally cut through, this piece is going to catch and it's going to spin around and slice my hand open like a razor blade. That's a real distinct possibility. Oh, there we go. Ah! Win one for the team there. So, you need a 6-inch hole. I got one and a piece of aluminum. I'm going to add that to the thing. Tiki's not in here today because the other day when I started this project, she was here. She was standing under my feet and was getting rained on by hot aluminum chips, and she's too stupid to stay out of the way. So she's not in here today. All right, so that's the first part down. Probably shouldn't be wearing this shirt either. There's aluminum chips all over the place, and they get itchy and pokey. Well, I mounted I think it's a 2.5-inch hole saw, which should give me plenty of room for what I want to do. This is the last hole I'm going to drill. My hole saw is in really bad shape. This hole saw is a Matco I bought probably 20 plus years ago, and it doesn't owe me anything. So this is going to take forever, and it's going to be really noisy, and it's going to make kind of a crappy hole. That was pretty cool. It actually cut a lot faster than I thought it was going to. This hole saw is designed to cut metal. I'm going to go blow this thing off, and I had to actually change where I mounted the screws because the hole was too big. But I need that big hole to run the wiring through. Well, I've had a little bit of an epiphany while doing this, I think. I haven't decided yet. I'm going to try to do it this way. So this is the mounting plate, and it comes with screws. Let's see if the screws actually fit. One of the problems I've always had with electrical stuff is that they don't. For whatever reason, I know it's supposed to be standardized, but they really have a tendency to not fit. The threads are always different, or the hole sizes are weird, like that, you know. It's like, what the fuck is that? So they gave me, my assumption is that they're expecting you to reuse screws that you already have when you took the old fixture off. So what these are for, I don't know. This one I think holds, yeah, this one's the one that actually holds the light in, and these are for, I don't know what else. But none of these two are the same, and this one's different. So why it's like that, I don't know. Now, lucky for me, I took the light off an existing fixture. Oh, you know what? Well, actually, I have more. I'm not going to use this fixture. I have one up there already. So I have these screws, which I hope will be long enough to give me enough threads to grab onto. It is nice. This is marked front. Marked front, which is kind of cool. So I'm gonna. They don't really go in those holes all that well. It is kind of a downfall of projects like this. I often wonder what, I don't want to say, these are supposed to be These are supposed to be designed for your average homeowner to install. And I don't think in all the years I've done weird projects like this that I've ever come across anything that was completely 100% plug and play. Unless you actually just plugged it in. The other kuna that I have, I had to mount in an odd position, which required me to run electric lines and build a box and all kinds of other stuff. I'm not faulting kuna. They didn't do anything wrong because it says clearly in the instructions that if you don't know what you're doing, you should hire a licensed electrician. And in reality, you probably should. But, okay, so that actually will work, I think. Yeah, I think I can shove the wiring in the box through the hole that I created. And then that mounts like that, okay? And you use this long screw to hold it in place. Now I'm going to mount this out front, or I'm going to mount this where the existing light was, but I'm not totally convinced that I like where that light was, so I may end up having to use this box in a different position. Now this has a little level on it for whatever reason, and it also says up, which I didn't bother to look at, but so you can rotate it to whatever position you want, and then there's a little bubble level. There's a little bubble level in there to make sure the whole thing's level and straight, and then that's the screw that holds it in. And then it's got a lock unlock, so this goes on like that. That attaches like that. Boom, boom. You hit lock, it stays in position. So this has got a lock unlock. Now, I guess in theory it's not very secure, so somebody could just go up if they knew what it was. And kuna plays off the fact that you generally don't know, unless you know what you're looking for, you don't realize that it is a camera. I've got some friends of mine who are police officers that have come to the house, and I've asked them, you know, they're professional witnesses, so I've asked them to look at this setup, you know, walk up to the door and you know, do your thing. And then unlike the Ring doorbells and other internet-based security or just security devices, you don't see this. I'm not concerned with the legality of recording people coming to the house. That's just absolutely none of my concern. Let's go put this thing in, see what happens. See if I can trip the circuit breaker again. So I guess showing how and where I'm installing my security light isn't the smartest thing to do. But the caveat to that is there's several other of these security cameras around the house. And I probably will buy more of these. So I've got my wires. I shut the power off because when I was taking the lamp out, when I took the original lamp out, I tripped the breaker even though there was no power going to the switch. That's a GFI breaker. So, yeah, well, I don't know. Probably in my best interest to shut it off. So I've got my mounting plate here that I made, custom made. Because nothing ever fits right out of the box. Oddly enough, the lamp doesn't have a ground. It's only got a positive and negative. I don't know why it doesn't have a ground. I thought that was a little weird. But the wires themselves are grounded to the box. So the ground is grounded to the box, and now this will be grounded to this box. I'm not putting this is a temporary installation, I think. I'm not convinced that this is going to give me the field of view or the field of light that I need here. As a matter of fact, why they mounted this lamp here is a little bit beyond me, because it kind of blocks the garage door a little. And when you're backing up to the garage door, it blinds you. Yeah, like I said, this is kind of a semi-temporary installation. If it works, it works. I'll just leave it up here. This is covered, so it's kind of protected a little bit. The problem is it might hang down a little low. I'd rather not have to install another box and run wires and all that jazz. These wires are a little, I'm going to strip these back a little bit. So it's pretty simple, black to black, white to white. Black is the hot. I'm sure there's an electrician somewhere that says I should connect it differently. Connect the white first or whatever, but I'm not an electrician, nor do I care to be. But if you're not comfortable doing this, then I highly recommend getting a regular electrician to come in. I'm comfortable with this. I've been zapped a few times. Nope, stuff that back in the box. Stuff that back in the box. These, the wires, so that's a classic bush league mistake there. So this says up, okay, and then the wires are actually coming from the top here. I put them in the bottom. Instead of taking them off, I'm just going to move this. Out of the way. If you buy the regular Kuna lamps, they come with a wire to hold the light in place, like a hook, which is really nice. I can't say enough good about the Kunas. They perfectly suit my need, which is just basic security. This is this one here. I needed a light here. So I figured if I'm going to go through all the effort of putting a new motion light in, I might as well put one in with a camera. I'm already paying for this service, the cloud service and all that stuff. Like I said, this might be temporary. I may have to move this thing. I don't want to, but I may have to. Alright, so that goes like that. That's going to get fed into there. That's going to go like that. And it's going to get leveled out like that. Okay, now there's another screw here. Alright, so this screw goes in the middle here. It's not quite level, which is not good. They spent a lot of money to install that level. Gotta be a reason for it. Every time I tighten it up, the level moves. Pretty close. I'll go grab the light here. Okay. Well, I actually kind of like that. I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I may not, that's why it needs to be level. I see it now. I may not move it. I may leave it there. The original light was one of those giant old halogen ones that really was kind of giant. And it hung down below the door sill. So when I was pulling something in that was kind of tall, it would cause problems. So let's all right. Power on. So there it is. The next step is to adjust the lights, obviously, and so I'll be adjusting the lights. I'll probably have to do that at night, and then adjusting the camera angle to get a full view of the backyard here. And most importantly is someone coming to the back garage door. We've had some petty thefts and burglaries lately, so if I'm doing my part to keep an eye on the neighborhood, I guess that's a pretty decent way to do it. So off to do the software. Setting up the Kuna light is actually relatively simple once you get the installation done, and as you saw, I actually had to make a mounting plate for mine, so it would fit the way I wanted it to fit, in the place that I wanted it to fit. So I'm not going to go through the whole process, but basically the way it works is, and it's really simple. Like I said, I'm a neophyte and I don't do this stuff really great. Though it doesn't show up great on camera here, but that's the view of the new camera, which basically just shows people walking in or out of my garage. Me, hopefully only me, but if you already have existing Kunas, and that's just what I'm going to go off of, you open up your application on your mobile device. In my case, I'm using an iPad. I also have 3 iPhones hooked up to it, and it works great. It connects to my airport, lickety split. All you have to do is open the application, click the plus symbol for add a new camera. You go up to the camera, you stand next to it, it automatically connects to your mobile device, and then it'll connect to your, in my case I'm using an Apple Airport, because that kind of backs everything up. It's actually an airport time capsule. The Kuna itself is a web-based recording. I'm sure if you were more tech savvy, you could probably figure out a way to record everything all the time into your own server or your own DVR somehow. I don't know how to do that. I don't care. It's $70 a month and it goes away to the cloud, and that's the end of it. The Kuna itself actually talks to you while you're doing the setup, which I thought was really cool. The original one I hooked up did not do that. The new one, it talks to you. I should have probably ran video. I didn't know it did it, but I didn't want to have my, I didn't want to put my shit out on the internet. So right now it's just a matter of I'm going to have to wait till nighttime to adjust the motion detectors and the motion sensing stuff. Now, if you buy one, good luck with it. I like it, and go from there.